live. All right. Cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Morning coffee.
I wish I'd gone downstairs and gotten some coffee.
Today is Friday, November 20th. Friday is our Agent Spotlight Day. And we have the honor and privilege of having the wonderful Jamie Barber on with us. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. You're new to the industry. Probably what, to a month, 2 months, maybe 2 months, maybe
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks, baby.
So we'll get into it, and it's an impressive 8 weeks, especially right now in a pandemic. And yes, you are in our track program, our mentorship program, and you're having some really, really good success. Just as an agent, not even as a new agent, just as an agent.
Right.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
So here's what I mean. It's incredible to see, Jamie, and I was saying this to you in the pre-show before we hit record, is that this Agent Spotlight and what we're doing is really to spotlight the human. And in the fact that you've only been in this industry for 8 weeks with us for 8 weeks is that you're bringing some really cool insights into this industry. So I just want to put a little context so people watching know what you come from and in the industry that you were in. And then let's correlate some of the stuff that you're doing in today's, because I think that they can get a really good, that a lot of people, even advanced agents, can learn from what you're doing and the mindset that you're bringing to it. So where do you come from, James? Tell us a little bit about you.
I came from the film industry. A long time ago, I was, my family, my father was in the film business and forbid me to do it. He said, the film industry was shifting, and he goes, I don't want you to have to look for a job every 6 months. And I was like, okay. So I went to school, UCLA, studied psychobiology. I was on my way to dental school. And then one day I went, I don't really want to be a dentist. So I decided I would rebel and go do what they had forbidden me to go do. And I started working on commercials as a film loader because Dad was associated with Panavision. And I found a tribe of people that I loved. It was just amazing. So I spent a lot of years. I started off at the very bottom of the camera department. Worked my way up as a film loader, and then second assistant and first assistant. And I got to work with some amazing people. And in that process, each one of us, had a job to do, and we all did our work. And as long as the unit was cohesive and did its work, then you could accomplish whatever you needed to accomplish. And I was lucky. I mean, I was very lucky in my career. I was the camera assistant on Titanic. I was lucky enough with a cameraman named Michael Chapman, who just passed away recently. I did Doc Hollywood with Michael J. Fox. We did Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then I was lucky enough, I ran into Tony Scott, and I did Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise and Tony and The Last Boy Scout. And then just kept snowballing and perfecting my craft. And then eventually I wanted to be a camera operator, and I got to do 2 movies as a camera operator. I got to do Master and Commander with Peter Weir and Russell Boyd, with 2 amazing people to work with. And then I got to do a movie called The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones. And then Fox moved me up to DP, and then it all that part of my career, because I really wanted to stay a camera operator. It was the best job in Hollywood.
So you got moved up to a VP, is that what you said?
To a director of photography.
Oh, DP. Oh, got it.
Right, and then I started shooting TV series, but through that time, I got to work with some of the most amazing DPs or directors of photography that had ever walked the planet, and then worked with directors. And as you grow up, you begin to see what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then you incorporate that into your profession, into your part of the profession. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was talking to you about was that it was all in preparation, all in knowing what you're doing, everything, you know, getting the right equipment, getting the right people, knowing that what you're going to do that day, because you are spending someone else's money at an extremely fast rate. I mean, you are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a day.
Right.
So you have to, you know, if there's something that's going to delay anything, then somebody's going to be losing a lot of money. And the studio definitely is not like that. And then, like you and I talked before with Ron Howard, one day I went to work with Ron Howard, and Ron, he creates a shot list, so he knows exactly what scene, we know what scenes we're going to shoot that day, and then he creates a list of all the shots that you're going to do. And when he handed me his shot list, he said, "This is only if we are not geniuses today. We can always fall back on that shot list. You know, if you're a genius and you're coming up with magic, but then at some point in the day, we're going to run out of energy, and we'll go, okay, let's go back to this, you know, we'll do a master here." And so, and then at one point in time, I got to run a company that was a subsidiary of Warner Communications, and I did that for a couple of years. And I decided I didn't really like the corporate world. I liked the world of making movies. But it taught me also, you know, it was great because it taught me general ledger and profit and loss, and have to answer to a very large corporation. So it was fantastic. The company was going under, and I was able to save it, and Warner Communications sold it for millions. So
wow. So Jamie, tell me. So you went director of photography, working on high budget films, working with the best of the best in the industry. How did you go from that to going into real estate?
What was that choice?
Yeah.
So I got, I mean, it sounds, exactly when I repeat it to myself, it sounds horrible, but I spent all that period of time traveling the world and living in the world, living elsewhere. I only stayed in Los Angeles for very short periods of time.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think I had a 5-year run where I literally would come into LA just to drop off the equipment that we had used and pick up and start prepping the next movie, and then go away. And then, so that worked, you know, I ended up divorced, and, you know, no one puts up, everyone loves the idea of the film industry. Right. But then everyone hates the idea that you are never here. You could never make dinner, you know, could never make plans to be anywhere, you know, to see friends or whatever, because more than likely I'd be shooting all night Friday night. And then the last few years, I did a lot of spy stuff. I did a TV series called Covert Affairs, and then I just finished Treadstone for NBC. And so I lived in Budapest for like 6 months. I lived in Sofia, Bulgaria for 7 months. I lived in Canada 8 months out of the year for 5 years. The jungles of Malaysia for Anna and the King. And I got bored. I got tired of not being home. So I looked around and I went, what do I really like to do? And I like negotiating, and I like helping people. And I thought, this is perfect real estate. You know, people getting into their homes, they need the help. Yep. And so that was the choice. Was I wanted to stay around LA, or at least the United States, and have something that was a little, you know, still wasn't conventional. Yeah. Because God, I am not conventional. It still
so
wasn't
what I hear
conventional.
is that you wanted a little bit more control of your time, a little bit more free time, right?
Yeah. And I just wanted to be able to actually have be able to tell somebody, yeah, I'll meet you for dinner on Friday night.
So yeah, no, well, now you absolutely can. So now, and just hearing your backstory, it does make sense of why we want to spotlight you, and the success that you are having. And so it sounds like because you want to control your time, you just went out there and got yourself a listing within your first 4 weeks of the business, and it was a pretty nice listing. So I'll do some bragging for you. You entered, you listed it for 920, and
955.
Oh, 955, and now you are in escrow for 980. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
So it was really within the first 4 weeks that you actually got the listing. So how we control our time in this business is by the listings.
Yep.
And in this pandemic, I know you're on the calls. Inventory is drastically getting lower and lower and lower. Yeah, as a new agent, you went out there and got your listing. So tell me if you can, how did that come about?
One of them, I was lucky enough of I was having a pandemic dinner with a friend. I have a patio outside, so we were sitting like 6 feet apart, and he had just come back from doing a movie with Mark Wahlberg. They had opened up. They had to go back to Germany because they had gotten kicked out when the pandemic started, and we started just talking about life. And he started saying, you know what, my house is too big. I need to downsize. I have like, a couple more movies. I'm going to be with Mark for a couple of movies. And I went, and we just started a discussion. And I said, you know what, it might be tough right now. The market, the inventory's low. Explain the situation. And I said, if you're going to do that, why don't we do it now? Why don't we do it together? Because you're not going to be living in LA for, I think he's heading to the Dominican Republic in January. I said, you're not going to be living in LA for like at least the next couple of years. So, and I said, I'll come by tomorrow. I'll do a listing presentation. I'll do the, the market analysis for you. And I gave him the whole deal. And at the end of it, he said, okay, let's do it.
Love it. It's not luck. You put yourself in that situation, and you prepared yourself to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
You absolutely did. And so I think so tell me more. There is more to it, because not only did you get the listing, you also were in a position to actually potentially double in the deal, right?
Yes.
So
I wanted to, having not done this before, when the listing went live and they started showing the property, I wanted to be there. So I was, so I could answer questions.
Yep.
And also just to go through it and see how it all worked. And so at the end of the evening, a gentleman tried to got a hold of you, who then got a hold of me, and he wanted to see the property. And I said, sure. One of the notes that I have on my computer is always answer your phone. So I was heading, because at the times in the film business, we have a tendency to not answer our phone at certain times, because that if it's a phone call from production, it's usually not good news.
But you answer your phone. You answered your phone.
Yeah, I answered my phone. Guy said, can I see, we'd love to see the house now. So I made arrangements. We went back, looked at the house. They looked at the house, and at the end of it, they went to me and they said, all right, we don't have an agent. Would you be willing to make an offer? And
we all want to hear. That's what we all want to hear.
And I'm like, I would, and I was so sad. I was like, I would love to, but I can't. I didn't want to tell him this is my first deal, and I really didn't want to play both sides. I just said, you know what? I told the brokerage I wouldn't, but let me find somebody for you that will work with me, and we'll get you we'll do what we can to get you the house.
So let me ask you another question. Does this person the buyer, does he need to sell, he or she need to sell in order to buy?
That's the good side of all of this is, the buyer has two properties. One property he's selling, and that's the contingency, but that'll be released. But he has another property because he wants to build a guest house on the back of the property, and he has another property that he needs to sell. And he said, you know what, you're once we're a little further into the escrow, I'd like you to just put my other property on to list it. So I went, yeah. That's how That's fantastic.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Business gets business, right? You've got to be in the
Absolutely.
business. You've got to be talking the business. You got to be not afraid. People are so fearful of that initial conversation, Jamie, and the fact that you stepped out and had the courage, right? Takes that, they call it 5 seconds of courage, man. You're like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And you're like, you know what? Let's do it, right? What's
So that was the whole thing. I was on my way home to have dinner, and I'm like, should I, it's like, no, I can, because they said, you can put us off if you really want to. And I'm like, but given the opportunity, you've got to step into it. You never know when it's going to happen. And one of the things that I think I'm very lucky in doing is that you learn. Like, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've gone to meetings. You meet like directors, you meet producers, and they say no. And who knows what it is, whether or not they just don't like you or there's somebody else, but I've had to do that my whole career. Right. So one of those things that my dad that said he didn't like was the fact that I would have to look for a job every 6 months.
Yeah.
It set me up for this. So I don't mind making phone calls. I don't mind talking to people because I've done it. I've had to sell myself my whole life. So this is just another step. And you never, just because someone says no on the other end, doesn't mean that. It just means that they said no. You don't know what their mindset is or whatever. So you do whatever you can to make yourself comfortable with them, and then see what happens. And as long as you put in the effort and you're good with them and you're honest and open and forthright, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, you know what? You come from an industry where all you do here is mostly no's, and it sets you up for success. And I mean, I think you said it well. So
that was beautiful, man.
Yeah,
I love what you opened with. Is you said and you said, I found a tribe I love.
Yeah,
that's the top of my list right now of things that you said. I was like, that is incredible. And I'm fortunate. I get to have many, many conversations, but the tribe that's building around all of us today is incredible. And I feel the same way. And that was when DJ and I were talking this morning. I said, he's like, hey, who should we have? And I was like, man, we got to talk to Jamie. Like people need to see this guy. People need to know who he is and what he's doing. And because your mindset, Jamie, is what's getting you there. Because many people fight themselves, but you're that 5 seconds of courage. And I want to go down my list because I want to end my part like this is what I wrote down today. Find a tribe you love, perfecting my craft, which got me more business, right? Perfecting my craft, which we talk about a lot. Preparation is key. Everything has to be prepared so that when things do go awry, we have an option, right? And then the final list, the final thing, and you kind of change my own verbiage, is we have a lot of checklists in this game. We have a lot of things that need to happen. But I love the idea of a shot list. So like the moment a listing comes up, you're like, all right, where's my shot list? What's the listing shot list? What's my buyer shot list? What's my, whatever that is, man. Like if you have just those few things, like if everybody watching this today took away, I mean, you all took away some amazing things here in your journey and where you've come from. But if you just found a tribe you loved, you just worked on perfecting your craft, you knew that preparation was the key, and you had a shot list for everything you do, man, you got a chance in anything.
In anything,
world, man, anything in this world.
So
that's awesome, dude. Thank you.
Great final words, Jamie. It was such a pleasure to have you on, and
it was a pleasure.
Everybody here at KWVIP needs to know the name Jamie Barber, because guess what? He is coming for you.
Yes, I am.
All right, cheers. Take care,
brother.
guys.
Thank you.